Every failing project hides a story of what could have been. Projects are the engines of change in organizations. Research consistently shows that anywhere from 30% to 70% of projects fail to meet their original goals, whether due to missed deadlines, blown budgets, or failure to deliver the expected benefits. The reality is stark. No project is immune to problems. Even the most carefully planned initiatives can hit turbulence. Requirements shift, stakeholders change their minds, budgets shrink, technologies evolve, and unforeseen risks materialize. What begins as a small deviation can spiral into a full-blown crisis if left unchecked. When this happens, leaders face a crucial question: do we abandon the project, or do we fight to rescue it? The good news is that many so-called failing projects are not beyond repair. With the right approach, troubled initiatives can be stabilized, redirected, and even transformed into success stories. A struggling project can serve as a turning point, not only for the initiative itself but also for the team and the wider organization. In this video I will show you how to recognize the early warning signs of project distress before it's too late. Put in place preventive measures that make projects more resilient. Apply practical steps to stabilize and recover projects that are already off track. Turn recovery experiences into organizational learning and long-term capability. More importantly, it reframes project failure not as an end, but as an opportunity, a moment to rebuild trust, sharpen processes, and strengthen resilience for the future. Part 1. Understanding problem projects. Before you can prevent or rescue a failing project, you must first understand what makes a project problematic in the first place. Not every delay or cost increase signals disaster. Many projects face challenges and still succeed. The key is recognizing when issues cross the threshold into serious risk territory and understanding the root causes behind them. 1. What is a problem project? A problem project is one that has deviated significantly from its original plan in terms of scope, budget, schedule, quality, or stakeholder satisfaction, and risks failing to deliver its intended value. Some projects are visibly in crisis. Deadlines are constantly missed, budgets are exhausted, and stakeholders are furious. Others are quiet failures. They limp along, delivering something in the end, but with such compromise in value, cost, or time that the organization questions whether the effort was worth it. 1. Key characteristics of a problem project: persistent variances, continuous schedule slips or budget overruns. Diminished value. Final deliverables no longer match business objectives. Loss of control. The team and leadership cannot clearly predict outcomes. Stakeholder mistrust. Sponsors, customers, or executives have lost confidence. High stress levels. Teams are overwhelmed, morale is low, and turnover is rising. Early recognition opens the door to recovery. 2. Common causes of project problems. Problem projects rarely result from a combination of organizational, technical, and human factors. Recognizing these causes helps organizations build preventive measures and prepares them for rescue when needed. A. Poor planning and scope creep. Unclear requirements lead to wrong assumptions. Stakeholders request frequent changes without evaluating impact. Teams chase moving targets without a stable baseline. Case: Denver International Airport Baggage System, 1990s. The airport's fully automated baggage handling system was a groundbreaking idea, but it was planned with overly optimistic assumptions and no realistic testing. Requirements kept expanding, stakeholders requested late changes, and the system ballooned in cost and complexity. It caused a 16-month delay to the airport opening and added $560 million to the budget. B. Weak governance and oversight. Lack of clear project ownership or decision-making authority. Infrequent or superficial reporting to sponsors. Delayed escalation of risks and issues until they are unmanageable. Case: UK NHS National Programme for IT, 2002 to 2011. The world's largest civilian IT project aimed to modernize the National Health Service with electronic health records. It lacked clear ownership and consistent governance. Contracts were poorly managed, progress was opaque, and accountability was unclear. After nearly £12 billion spent, the program was dismantled, labeled one of the worst IT failures in history. C. Ineffective communication. Misalignment between teams, stakeholders, and leadership. Information silos where critical knowledge is hidden. Mixed messages leading to confusion and rework. Case: Challenger Space Shuttle disaster, 1986. Multiple engineers raised concerns about O-ring failures in cold temperatures, but NASA management failed to communicate and escalate these concerns effectively. Miscommunication and pressure to meet deadlines overrode safety warnings. The shuttle broke apart 73 seconds after launch, killing all 7 crew members. A tragic case of how poor communication can doom a project. D. Resource constraints. Understaffed teams or mismatched skill sets. Insufficient funding for critical activities. Inadequate tools, infrastructure, or vendor support. Case: Boeing 787 Dreamliner, 2000s. Boeing outsourced much of the design and manufacturing to global suppliers but underestimated the resources needed for integration and oversight. With limited internal engineering capacity, quality issues piled up. The project faced 3 years of delays, billions in extra costs, and significant reputational damage before entering service. E. Unrealistic expectations. Aggressive deadlines set without evidence or feasibility studies. Overpromised benefits to win approval. Ignoring lessons learned from past projects. Case: FBI Virtual Case File Project, 1999 to 2005. The FBI tried to replace its outdated case management system with a $170 million software project. Deadlines were aggressive, requirements kept shifting, and leadership demanded big bang delivery rather than incremental releases. By 2005, the system was deemed unusable and scrapped, wasting the entire external risks. Regulatory or compliance changes. Shifts in market demand or economic conditions. Emerging technologies disrupting original design. Case: London 2012 Olympic security contract. Private firm G4S won the contract to provide 10,000 security staff. But due to labor market shifts and recruitment challenges, they failed to deliver enough trained guards in time. The UK military had to step in with thousands of soldiers at short notice. The project's external environment, labor supply, was underestimated, nearly jeopardizing event security. 3. Early warning signs of trouble. The earlier you detect problems, the greater your chances of rescuing the project. Many organizations fail to act until issues have escalated into crises. By then, options are limited and recovery becomes costlier. Here are key red flags to watch for. Schedule slippage. Deadlines are consistently missed. Milestones are achieved with incomplete or low-quality deliverables. Budget overrun. Spending is outpacing progress. Constant need for additional funding without clear justification. High change requests. The scope is constantly expanding. Project direction shifts repeatedly, confusing the team. Stakeholder disengagement. Sponsors skip meetings or stop asking questions. End users show little interest in the outcome. Poor quality and rework. Deliverables are frequently rejected or redone. Defects and errors accumulate faster than they are resolved. Low morale and turnover. Team members are visibly stressed, disengaged, or leaving. Blame culture replaces problem solving. Escalating conflicts. Departments argue over ownership, priorities, or accountability. Disagreements stall progress. Loss of transparency. Status reports become vague or overly optimistic. Leadership lacks a clear picture of true progress. When several of these signs appear together, the project has likely moved from being challenge to at risk. Case: Healthcare.gov launch, 2013. The U.S. government's online health insurance marketplace launched with major technical failures, pages crashing, users locked out, and system instability. Early warning signs included missed testing deadlines, repeated contractor turnover, and vague progress reporting. These red flags were ignored, leading to a disastrous launch. It took months of crisis management to stabilize the platform. 4. Why organizations struggle to admit project problems. One of the most dangerous aspects of problem projects is denial. Many organizations hesitate to acknowledge failure until it's too late. Common reasons include fear of blame. Project managers or sponsors hide issues to protect themselves. Sunk cost fallacy. Leaders throw more money at failing projects because we've already invested too much to stop. Optimism bias. Teams believe problems will fix themselves over time. Political pressure. Executives hesitate to cancel high-profile initiatives. This reluctance delays corrective action and makes rescue more difficult. Successful organizations embrace transparency and treat problem identification as a strength, not a weakness. Case: Concorde Supersonic Jet Program, 1960s–2003. Despite ballooning costs, limited commercial viability, and growing environmental concerns, France and the UK continued pouring money into Concorde for decades due to national pride and the sunk cost fallacy. While technologically impressive, the project never achieved profitability and became an example of failing to stop when warning signs were clear. 5. The turning point. From struggle to recovery, every problem project reaches a critical decision point. Continue as is and risk collapse. Stop the project and cut losses. Or intervene with a structured recovery approach. Recognizing this turning point is essential. The decision must be made quickly and based on evidence, not emotion. The rest of this guide will focus on how to prepare for that moment and execute a successful recovery. Case: Airbus A380-2000s. During development, Airbus faced massive delays and cost overruns due to mismatched engineering software across its European sites. The project was near collapse, but instead of scrapping it, Airbus launched a structured recovery effort, aligning design systems, resetting timelines, and rebaselining contracts with customers. Though not a commercial blockbuster, the A380 was eventually delivered and became a symbol of successful project recovery after near failure. Part 2. Preventing problem projects. The best way to deal with problem projects is to prevent them from becoming problems in the first place. While not every risk can be avoided, most troubled projects share the same root causes: weak foundations, poor governance, and lack of alignment. Prevention means building resilience into projects from the start, so that even when challenges appear, they don't spiral into failure. 4. Laying the groundwork for success. The project's success is determined long before execution begins. Strong initiation and planning ensure clarity, feasibility, and alignment. A. Define clear objectives. Every project must answer: what are we trying to achieve, and how will we know when we've succeeded? Vague goals invite confusion. Clear objectives should be specific, clearly state the expected outcomes. Measurable, trackable through metrics: time, cost, quality, benefit. Achievable, realistic given resources and constraints. Relevant, aligned with business strategy. Time-bound, framed within deadlines. Case: London 2012 Olympics. Unlike past mega events, London's organizers focused on clear, measurable outcomes, on-time venues, sustainable design, post-games community use. Their upfront clarity prevented scope bloat and delivered the games on time and within budget. B. Secure stakeholder alignment. Projects succeed when stakeholders share the same vision. Misaligned priorities cause conflicts later. Project managers must identify all key stakeholders early. Map interests, influence, and expectations. Build consensus on objectives and priorities. Set up structured communication channels. Case: The Big Dig, Boston, 1980s to 2000s. This $14 billion megaproject suffered decades of delays and overruns due to misaligned political, community, and federal stakeholders. Constant battles over funding, design, and safety made alignment nearly impossible. C. Establish a risk management plan. Unforeseen issues derail projects. Effective risk management involves identifying risks early through workshops and expert input, assessing probability and impact, defining mitigation and contingency plans, monitoring risks continuously, not just at kickoff. Case: Hong Kong International Airport, 1998. The new airport faced opening day chaos due to underestimated IT risks. Thousands of passengers faced delays, cargo handling collapsed, and airlines lost millions. A proper risk plan could have flagged critical IT integration as a showstopper. D. Set realistic estimates. Projects fail when they are overpromised and under-resourced. To prevent this, use historical data from past projects. Involve subject matter experts in estimating. Apply buffers for uncertainty. Avoid political pressure to commit to rosy numbers. Case: Sydney Opera House, originally estimated at $7 million Australian dollars, final costs were $102 million Australian dollars. Unrealistic early estimates, coupled with political eagerness, doomed the project's budget credibility. E. Implement strong governance. Governance ensures accountability, control, and transparency. Effective governance includes clear decision-making authority, sponsor, steering committee. Structured reporting and progress reviews. Defined escalation paths for risks and issues. Independent oversight for critical projects. Case: Crossrail, London, 2009 to 2022. Europe's largest infrastructure project faced major delays and overruns partly due to weak governance between Transport for London, government departments, and contractors. Clearer oversight earlier could have prevented slippage. 5. Building a resilient project environment. Even the best plans encounter turbulence. A resilient project culture ensures teams can adapt to challenges without spiraling into crisis. A. Foster open communication. Teams must feel safe to raise risks and issues early. Healthy communication includes regular, transparent reporting. No, shoot the messenger, culture. Centralized knowledge-sharing platforms. Case: Challenger disaster, 1986. Engineers raised concerns about O-rings, but fear of delay penalties prevented open communication to decision-makers. The lack of a speak up culture proved fatal. B. Encourage proactive problem escalation. Problems hidden at the team level grow into crises. A culture of early escalation allows leadership to intervene before it's too late. Train teams to flag blockers early. Reward transparency, not concealment. Empower project managers to escalate without bureaucracy. Case: Healthcare.gov, 2013. Teams knew testing deadlines were missed and defects were mounting, but problems were downplayed until launch. Escalation earlier would have prevented a public disaster. C. Maintain controlled flexibility. While scope control prevents chaos, rigidity can also cause failure. Agile approaches, iterative releases, and change boards allow projects to adapt without losing focus. Adopt structured change control. Differentiate between essential and nice-to-have changes. Maintain flexibility while protecting the baseline. Case: Spotify's agile culture. Spotify allows teams to pivot quickly, balancing structure with adaptability. This flexibility has enabled continuous product evolution while avoiding chaos. D. Invest in team capability. A skilled, motivated team is the best defense against project failure. Preventive actions include training in project tools and methodologies, access to proper technologies and infrastructure, hiring or contracting expertise for complex tasks, recognizing and rewarding contributions. Case: Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Outsourcing critical design work to underprepared suppliers created massive integration problems. Investing in supplier training and closer oversight earlier would have prevented years of delays. E. Regularly review progress. Projects drift when assumptions aren't validated. Continuous monitoring ensures early detection of trouble. Compare actuals versus baseline, time, cost, scope. Hold regular retrospectives and milestone reviews. Update risk registers and issue logs. Case: FBI's Sentinel Project, 2005 to 2012. After the failure of Virtual Case File, the FBI applied tighter progress reviews and phased releases in Sentinel. This iterative monitoring allowed timely course corrections, preventing another massive failure. Key takeaway for prevention. Prevention is not about eliminating all risks, it's about reducing the probability of failure and increasing resilience. By laying strong foundations and cultivating a resilient project culture, organizations can prevent most problem projects from spiraling into crisis. Part 3. Rescuing a failing project. When a project is in serious trouble, leaders face a critical choice: let it collapse, cancel it to cut losses, or intervene with a rescue strategy. Recovery requires honesty, courage, and structure. It is not about patching symptoms, it's about stabilizing, diagnosing, replanning, and executing a turnaround. 6. Step 1. Stop the bleeding. Before you can rescue a project, you must stabilize it. This means halting activities that make the situation worse and creating breathing space to assess. Key actions. Freeze new scope changes until further notice. Pause non-essential tasks and focus on stabilizing the core. Identify immediate risks that threaten survival. Case: Denver International Airport Baggage System, 1994. After years of delays and technical failures, the baggage project was draining resources daily. The rescue team froze new design requests, stopped expanding functionality, and focused on diagnosing the existing issues. Although the full rescue failed, the "stop the bleeding" phase prevented further unnecessary costs. 7. Step 2. Diagnose the root causes. Don't assume the obvious reason is the real one. What looks like missed deadlines might be rooted in unclear requirements, skill shortages, or stakeholder conflict. Key actions. Conduct a full audit, scope, budget, contracts, risks, and dependencies. Interview team members, vendors, and stakeholders. Separate symptoms, slippages, defects, from causes, poor planning, misaligned incentives. Case. FBI's Sentinel Project, 2006-2007, after the virtual case file disaster, Sentinel also ran into early trouble. A root cause review found unrealistic timelines and weak vendor management. By diagnosing these issues honestly, the FBI restructured the program with phased releases, allowing eventual delivery. 8. Step 3. Replan and realign. Once causes are known, the project must be reframed with achievable goals. This means revisiting objectives. Are they still valid? Prioritizing deliverables, must-have versus nice-to-have. Re-baselining the schedule and budget. Getting formal sponsor approval for the new plan. Case. Airbus A380, 2006-2010. The aircraft project was near collapse due to mismatched design software across sites. After a painful diagnosis, Airbus launched a re-baseline plan, re-standardizing CAD systems, resetting schedules, and renegotiating customer commitments. The plane was eventually delivered, though late. 9. Step 4. Rebuild team morale. By the time a project enters rescue, teams are often exhausted, demoralized, and mistrustful. Recovery requires resetting the emotional climate. Strategies. Acknowledge past struggles openly, avoid blaming individuals. Celebrate small, quick wins to rebuild confidence. Re-clarify roles and responsibilities to reduce confusion. Strengthen collaboration between leadership and the team. Case. Microsoft Windows Vista to Windows 7 Vista, 2007, was seen as a failed product, bloated, slow, and late. Morale at Microsoft was low. The Windows 7 project reframed the mission, gave the team achievable goals, and celebrated early test successes. Windows 7, 2009, became a critical recovery, restoring Microsoft's reputation. 10. Step 5. Execute the recovery plan. Execution must be more disciplined than before. Rescue projects succeed only if leadership enforces strict control while maintaining transparent communication. Key principles. Establish tight progress monitoring with dashboards. Hold frequent checkpoints with sponsors. Enforce strict scope discipline, no unapproved changes. Escalate risks, issues immediately. Maintain open communication with all stakeholders. Case. London 2012 Olympics. The project faced early fears of cost overruns and logistical chaos. A turnaround team enforced strict reporting, froze late scope changes, and applied rigorous risk management. Execution discipline ensured all venues were completed on time and the games were a global success. 11. Step 6. Evaluate and learn. After stabilizing and delivering, the final step is learning. Too often, organizations move on quickly without documenting lessons. Actions. Conduct a post-recovery review. What went wrong? What worked? Document lessons learned and share across the organization. Build stronger standards for governance, risk, and communication. Case. Apollo 13, 1970. After safely returning the astronauts, NASA ran extensive reviews. Lessons learned led to new risk planning and simulation protocols that shaped future space missions. The project became a model of how to learn from crisis recovery. 12. When to walk away. Not every project is worth saving. Some are doomed due to lost strategic value, unmanageable risks, or excessive sunk costs. Leaders must recognize when termination is the most rational recovery strategy. Criteria for cancellation. Business case no longer valid. Costs of rescue outweigh expected benefits. Technology platform has become obsolete. Stakeholder commitment has evaporated. Case. UK NHS National Programme for IT, 2002 to 2011. After nearly £12 billion spent, the project was cancelled. Attempts at rescue failed because the business case had collapsed and stakeholders had lost trust. Closing it allowed the NHS to redirect funds into smaller, more achievable IT initiatives. Key takeaway for recovery: rescuing a project is not about heroics, it's about structured intervention. By stabilizing, diagnosing, replanning, motivating, executing, and learning, organizations can turn crises into opportunities. But knowing when to stop is just as important as knowing how to save. Part 4. Turning failure into opportunity while preventing and rescuing projects is critical. True organizational maturity comes from learning from failure. Every project, whether it succeeds fully or fails, offers lessons that can transform processes, culture, and strategy. This section explores how to leverage failure to create long-term opportunity and competitive advantage. 13. Understanding the value of failure. Failure is often stigmatized, but when approached strategically, it provides deep insights, reveals weaknesses in planning, execution, and governance. Innovation opportunities. Forces creative problem-solving and process redesign. Cultural growth. Encourages psychological safety, transparency, and learning. Competitive advantage. Organizations that learn faster from mistakes outperform those that repeat them. Case. Toyota Production System, Toyota's Endencord, encourages workers to stop the line for defects. Early failures become structured learning opportunities, improving processes continuously. 14. Conducting meaningful postmortems. Post-project evaluations should go beyond surface-level reflection. Document successes, failures, and surprises. Identify root causes of problems rather than symptoms. Capture lessons in a central knowledge repository accessible to future teams. Translate lessons into actionable changes in methodology, governance, or resource planning. Case. Apollo 13. NASA conducted detailed reviews after the mission. Lessons learned about risk assessment, communication, and redundancy directly improved subsequent space missions. 15. Embedding lessons into organizational processes. Failure is only valuable if it informs future practice. Organizations should update project management frameworks with lessons learned. Adjust risk registers, planning templates, and governance models. Share knowledge across departments to prevent repetition of mistakes. Case. FBI Sentinel Project. After the failure of Virtual Case File, lessons from Sentinel were embedded in phased rollout procedures and vendor oversight policies. Future IT projects benefited from these improvements. 16. Cultivating a growth-oriented culture. Organizations that treat failure as a learning opportunity gain resilience. Encourage psychological safety, where employees can raise concerns without fear. Recognize teams for problem-solving under challenge, not just flawless execution. Celebrate small wins and improvements as part of continuous learning. Case. SpaceX. Early rocket failures were treated as experiments. Each failure was carefully analyzed, and insights were applied to improve subsequent designs. This approach allowed SpaceX to achieve rapid innovation and reliability. 17. Turning recovery into strategic advantage. The rescued project can provide far more value than just delivering its original objectives. Stronger processes, lessons learned lead to better governance and risk controls. Enhanced team cohesion. Recovery experiences create resilient, high-performing teams. Stakeholder trust. Transparent recovery reinforces credibility and confidence. Innovation opportunities. Reassessment during rescue often uncovers better solutions or alternative strategies. Case. London 2012 Olympics. Initial fears of delays and budget overruns were overcome with disciplined recovery and governance. Post-Games, the UK gained improved project management capacity for future infrastructure projects. 18. Measuring success beyond delivery. When a project fails partially but recovers, traditional measures of success, time, cost, scope, may not tell the full story. Consider how much organizational knowledge was gained. Were teams strengthened in capability and confidence? Did recovery enable innovation or better approaches in future projects? Did stakeholder relationships improve through transparent handling? Example. IBM's 1990s turnaround involved failing product lines, but by analyzing failure and strategically reallocating resources, IBM emerged stronger and more diversified. 19. Developing a fail-safe mindset. Turning failure into opportunity requires a cultural shift. Expect uncertainty and view setbacks as experiments. Promote early detection and transparency. Encourage incremental learning. Treat every iteration as an opportunity to refine. Reward learning and adaptation, not just flawless execution. Example. Amazon's approach to innovation includes structured experimentation and tolerating failures. Many new initiatives fail, but the lessons create successful products like AWS and Kindle. Key takeaways. Failure is not an endpoint, it's a source of knowledge and growth. Structured postmortems and organizational learning transform setbacks into repeatable success. Recovery experiences strengthen teams, processes, and stakeholder confidence. A growth-oriented culture embraces experimentation, transparency, and continuous improvement. Strategic advantage often emerges from how organizations respond to failure, not just from initial success. From crisis to mastery, every project faces uncertainty. Even the most meticulously planned initiatives can encounter delays, budget overruns, or technical challenges. What separates successful organizations from those that falter is how they respond to problems, with clarity, structure, and courage. This guide has walked you through the full journey. Understanding problem projects, recognizing early warning signs, root causes, and patterns that lead to failure. Preventing problem projects, building solid foundations, strong governance, and resilient teams to reduce risk before it escalates. Rescuing a failing project, stabilizing the situation, diagnosing causes, replanning, motivating teams, executing recovery, and knowing when to cut losses. Turning failure into opportunity, capturing lessons, embedding them into processes, fostering a growth-oriented culture, and leveraging recovery as a source of strategic advantage. Key lessons. Early recognition is critical. Acting at the first signs of trouble greatly increases the chance of recovery. Prevention is better than cure. Investing in planning, governance, and team development pays dividends. Recovery requires structure, honesty, and leadership. Hasty fixes or denial only worsen crises. Failure is a resource, not a liability. Every setback carries insights that can strengthen people, processes, and strategy. Final thought. A project in trouble is not the end, it is an opportunity to test your resilience, sharpen your leadership, and build stronger processes.